Don Schlembecker, Peak Performance Training. Today we're going to come to you and talk to you about coaching youth basketball. Now we run clinics all over the Chicagoland area, and in that, what we find in the Park District of schools is that basically the foundational skills of basketball get glossed over. All right? We're starting the kids younger, but we're not building the skills that are going to create better basketball players down the road. Today, we're going to find out exactly how. Thanks. Everything stops and starts with ball handling. And by ball handling, what we consider ball handling is anything dribbling related or passing related. These are ball skills that everybody needs to have. We need to build these skills first. When a kid walks in the gym, what does he do? He starts shooting shots, right? Well, what we believe in, and what we do in our camps and our clinics, and what we implore you to do with your kids, is walk in the gym and take them through 20 to 30 minutes of ball handling drills. This will no doubt improve the skill level of your players. It will decrease the level of violations in their games, and it will create just a cleaner, better environment to excel as a basketball player. First thing we always talk about in ball handling, okay, and dribbling, is we never focus on this. Everything we do as far as dribbling goes, we dribble in an athletic, protective position, okay? So a regular right-handed dribble, for me, isn't this. It's down in an athletic position, arm bar in front. I don't tilt from my hips, drop my head down. I bend from my knees when I'm moving in this direction. I always keep that ball away from the opponent. And we'll talk about that a lot in our dribbling drills. Is that which direction am I going, which hand am I using? If I'm going right, I'm dribbling right because the defense is going to be on my left. If I'm going left, I dribble left because my defense is going to be on my right. And as we do our zigzag patterns in a little while, you're going to see how that connects to them. All right, so we start out with a basic dribble, right hand. My eyes are up, looking up the entire time, facing the direction that I'm going. All right, I switch to my left. Now I get into it with some of the older kids is that we really talk about getting a feel for the basketball. The reason we do drills like this isn't because we're going to do this in a game, but it's to get a feel for the ball. The reason we do some fancier, more difficult ball handling drills is because you never know what position that ball is going to be in during a game. So you want to be able to deal and handle anything that basically gets thrown your way in a game. So after we go through that, as I get a little older, sometimes I have to slam the ball really, really hard into the ground. All right? Basic single dribble, but pounding. Pounding that ball into the ground. All right? Get used to it, coming up hard and being able to keep my hand on top of it and control it. And then move to something lower. And repeat the same thing on the other side. So we try to get through that to change up different things. We might get them in one position and start out normal. Then say pound. Then say low. Normal. And switch from that. Now all of a sudden they're focused on their eyes up. They're getting a different feel for the basketball. And they're improving from there. Work on both sides and work this in place. And do this at the beginning all the time. Okay. After I get through some single arm stuff with a basic dribble, I'll go to a basic crossover dribble, okay? And in that basic crossover dribble, I actually have everybody facing me, because when you actually do make a crossover dribble from right to left or left to right, it's going to be in front of your body, it's not going to be to the side. All right, so what we do is we just have them stand there. Again, getting in that athletic stance, eyes up, crossover. Now we initially teach go from hip to hip, all right, hip to hip, hip to hip, all right? What a lot of kids do is that they switch hands, but they don't actually push the ball from side to side. Now the reason we do any kind of dribbling move, all right, any kind of crossover dribble behind the back, through the legs, is to what? To separate ourselves from the defense, all right? It's not to be a showboat, it's not just to do it, it's to separate ourselves. So this is not separated. This will help us separate. So to keep that in mind and make sure they work hip to hip. Now hip to hip is harder to keep control of, but that's why we're doing it every single practice. All right? And then just like we get into single arm dribbles, is that we start here and then we examine. We get it harder and get it out wider to challenge ourselves even more. And then maybe we break it down to a really, really low dribble. So we keep it low, but we still keep it side to side. Remember, it's to make a move to separate ourselves. So after we work the basic crossover patterns too, we go back to some single arm stuff, but some more challenging single arm dribbling. Okay? We showed them the crossover hip to hip. So now what we do is we show them a single arm crossover hip to hip. Okay? This is more challenging, but I have my first and second graders do this, and some of them can become pretty successful at it early on. So I know this is definitely low level where we can build this as a foundational move. And we can explain later how this connects to an actual move that you would make on the dribble in a game. So, single arm. So I still work hip to hip, right? Hip to hip or a little bit further out. And what I'm doing is I'm pushing it and then I'm pulling the ball. My hand stays on top. But I'm pushing the pull. Then I switch arm. Okay? So same thing, I work side to side. Alright? This gets them understanding side to side, hip to hip, and will really connect to a move that we use later. And then from that what I do is then I have them go front to back, okay? So I'll show you from the side. And so the front to back dribble. And then switch sides just. Now once we get some of these in-place dribbling techniques down a little bit further, what we'll do is we'll start to add movement. And when we add movement, we're going to just add basic movement. Basic forward movement. To start out, we're not going to go through zigzag patterns yet. Just basic, very basic movement in a nice, aggressive, protected dribble. Alright? Here's what we're going to do. We will start either on the sideline or the baseline. Alright? And what we're going to do is we're going to pick increments, usually volleyball lines or cricket lines back and forth, where we stop the dribble, control it, and then move to the next point. So I start a right-hand dribble. I blow the whistle or say go. They aggressively dribble forward, still protecting the ball. Stop at line. So I'm here. Here's the ball up. Go. And then what I'll do is I'll come back, and then I'll do that on the left side as well. So I work keeping this aggressive dribble pattern, power dribbling, speed dribbling, all right, with protection to the next line under control. So speed, but control. And so what we can do is now we can stop and start with the dribble, and that's kind of the next level, the next progression of that. So once we get that down, then what we'll do is we'll start progressing into a dribble, and then maybe a crossover to another dribble. So it would look something like this. Now I've worked in my basic forward pattern dribbling, all right? I worked on it in a single arm, stopping, protecting the dribble, and going, maintaining the dribble, which is huge later when we get to more advanced dribbling drill. It's teaching kids to maintain their dribble until they have someone to pass to, until they see somewhere to go, and not picking up their dribble so early on, okay? So now what we're going to do is we're going to move into some zigzag patterns, some diagonal patterns. First thing we're going to do is I'm going to have all of my kids run through the zigzag pattern, make sure they're planting the right way. What we don't want to see are jump stops at each cone, all right? That's not going to change the direction. The jump stop is a huge, huge tool later on, all right? When I get to a position I want to get up for a shot, if I'm a post player, I grab that rebound, all of those kind of things. But right now we're going to work on changing direction as quickly as possible. So our focus is planting the outside foot right now, changing direction, working in straight lines, not an S, but a V. Make sure that we focus on that, okay? And no jump stops, no jump stops. All right, now, we will later on if you have questions about what foot to plant. Focus on outside foot right now. We can do some dribbling patterns with the behind the back move. It's more effective to plant the inside foot. And we'll get to that later on. So now I grab a ball, and I'm going to go to a basic V-cut, dribbling pattern with the crossover dribble. I'll go down, I'll go back. So we're keeping an aggressive dribble, keeping it low, eyes up, planting outside foot, good crossover, change of direction. When I go right, I dribble right. When I go left, I dribble left. Last thing we're going to do today, all right, we're going to stay in this V-cut pattern, okay, and what we're going to do is we're going to show you some alternate moves if you have higher level players. Now all the drills we went through, single arm, crossover, front back, everything we do with movement, everybody should do. Every single person at all levels. Collegiate professional basketball players are doing dribbling techniques all the time in practice, all right? To stay fresh, to improve their ability to control the ball, all right? Especially in a stressful situation like a game where you don't know where that ball is going to be. So, what we're going to do is now we're going to go through a couple different patterns showing you a reverse dribble, which we'll talk about later technically how to do, and behind the back dribble, as well as a dribble through the legs, all right? We'll go through a couple of those. We'll see you next time we focus on defensive position. Thanks a lot. You can also use combinations of those drills. Take those, get a hold of me with any questions. See you next time. Thanks.